Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lighting the Way with Beth Green and Friends. Tonight I want to talk about something which is, I think, critically important for us all to be thinking about. And I'm looking forward to the participation of uh, our group, our our group that comes on, our friends, because really would be interested in knowing the answers that you will give. Because I'm saying, are you feeling stressed about Trump? And what do you need to feel better now? But before we get into that, and I would like everybody to to participate in that and talk about it. Even people coming on the chat would be cool. Um, but I want to give an introduction to this. First of all, I want to explain why I think this is a critically important topic. And if you agree, please share this program with all of your friends. You know, fighting against the Trump administration is going to go on for a long time. It's not just like, oh, we went to one demonstration and it's all over, because there are multiple fronts in which we have to deal with this, but also it's going to continue. And so um, we have to realize that we are in this for the long haul. And it isn't just because resistance is going to take a long time. Building up towards and mobilizing for a better world, which is how we really are going to win, is going to take a long time as well. So when I say we have to be prepared for the long haul, it's like the difference between a sprint and a marathon. Now, I know nothing about sports because I'm disabled. But anyway, and I don't take an interest in it. I don't run myself. But I would imagine, and somebody's going to tell me I'm wrong, I'm sure, that you have to prepare differently for a sprint than a marathon. One is going to be speed above all, and the other is going to be endurance. So, what I'm trying to say is that we are going to need endurance for the long haul. First, to stop the horrible things that are happening, and secondly, to develop a better society so we never have to face this again. So, when you think about the long haul, think about your body. You can say, well, right now I need energy to do something. And so, I know we shouldn't do this, but people do. They'll have some kind of quick acting food or drink or something to get them going. Okay. But if you're going to be doing something for the long haul, you can't be looking at quick acting things. You need to be looking at a variety of things that are going to build your health. You have to build your overall health if you're going to be in it for the long haul. So, what I mean by that is, let's say we've gotten into the habit of watching the news religiously every second of the day to find out the latest abomination so we can get outraged and so we can tell everybody else how outraged we are and so that we can go out and protest it. Well, that's good. But in the long haul, you need more than outrage. You may need outrage in that moment, but it's like eating a more balanced diet. You need a more balanced diet to be healthy and to be well for the long haul. So, you're going to need your proteins and so on, and your veggies, of course. So, now what am I getting at? What I'm getting at is for us to be emotionally capable of being part of the long haul, we need a variety of things, not just watching the news and freaking out. We need to learn how to build ourselves up, build up our emotional well being, our emotional stamina. Now, what gets in the way of our building ourselves up, nurturing ourselves? Well, of course, sometimes we don't know how to do it, but I want to take some specific things that could be getting in your way, that certainly have gotten in my way many times in my life. And one thing that gets in our way of nurturing ourselves is we feel that we are not deserving. Why we feel we're not deserving, there's a lot of reasons for that, most of which start in our childhood. We've been abandoned, or we were neglected, or we were treated badly, or we were heavily criticized, or whatever. And so we may come into this situation already feeling like we don't deserve to be nurtured. We don't deserve the good things in life. Oh, I mean, I remember a time when the men were supposed to get the best cut of meat. And I don't know, the women and children got the scraps, right? So that was, we were not deserving. Well, we are deserving. And that's the first thing. We have to break through the idea that we're not deserving nurturance. Now, close to that, and this is critically important, is guilt. I feel guilty because other people are suffering more than I am right now. So, how can I make myself happier when I'm already happier than the people who are in ICE detention at this moment? Well, a lot of people are worse off than we are. People all over the world are worse off than we are. People all over the world don't have clean water, don't have any medical care. I mean, there's a million things uh, that happen. And it isn't just all over the world, it's in our own nation. People don't have clean water. They have lead in their water, or they have pollution that they have to deal with, or they have violence in their homes, and so on. And so, does it do anyone any good for us to say, well, oh God, I feel so guilty because I have it better than so and so. So I think that I'm going to slit my throat or cut my foot off so that I can be as bad as you. I don't think that that is a smart strategy. That's all I'm saying. Because all you're doing is you are reducing your own capacity to do anything about what is going on. So feeling guilty is dumb. You have to overcome that feeling so that you can nurture yourself for the long haul. You have to be here today. You have to be here tomorrow. And that may mean taking a vacation sometimes, taking a break from the news. You don't want a steady diet of bad news. That is very debilitating to your spirit, to your soul. You could get very negative. And then what good is that? So, feeling guilty is not the solution. Not feeling deserving is an old pattern that we have to overcome. Instead, we need to be saying to ourselves, how can I live my life with happiness and joy, fill myself with positive energy, and fight the good fight with all of these elements supporting me? I need to support. I think people say that God's army doesn't march on an empty stomach. If you're in any kind of protest movement, you need people coming in, helping out. You need resources, you need money, you know, you need all kinds of things that you need in order for you to keep up that long haul, but also for you to keep sane. You need calm. You need to be filled with positive energy in order to put up with and tolerate the constant assault on our humanity. You don't want to get dragged down into the sewer. You don't want to be filled with anger and vengeance. You want to stay calm. You want to be thinking clearly. And for that, you need nurturance. Some of us don't know how to nurture ourselves. Some of us think that going to a party and getting drunk is the way that we are supposed to nurture ourselves and take a break from these terrible news. That is not nurturance, that's called escape. And escape, Oh, it's one thing to say, "Oh, I'm going to escape from all of this bullshit for a while and I'm going to go sit at a stream or go to a park." But you're not just escaping the negative, you are filling yourself with the positive. So, escaping is often very detrimental. What does it do when we drink or we use drugs or, we go off into all kinds of tangents? We are filling ourselves with negative energy and we are debilitating ourselves for the long haul. We cannot do that. Another reason, something else that gets in the way, is that others may shame you. And you've got to be able to stand up to that. Why aren't you doing this when you, why are you going to the ocean and sitting by the beach? Why are you doing that? Well, if you're clear, if you're confident, if you've understood the message, you say, I need this time to nurture myself to fight again. The prize fighter doesn't do 8 rounds and another 8 rounds, another 10 rounds, another 12 rounds. You don't send the fighter in day after day. They have to recover. They have to regenerate. We have to regenerate emotionally and spiritually in order for us to keep going for the long haul. So I would like to share a couple of things that I do that make me feel good, that I know are going to help me be with this, not for today, not for tomorrow, but for as long as it takes. So some of the things that I do is I play with my dog. I go out in nature and I feel the energy, the positive energy of the trees, of the rivers, of the streams. I cuddle with my husband. That gets me feeling good. I laugh with my friends. We laugh about the terrible things that are happening and how ridiculous the other side is. I breathe. I meditate. I play music. And I don't feel guilty. And I don't feel like I shouldn't be doing these things because I know that my purpose is to strengthen myself, to be calm, to be sane, to be clear, to be compassionate, and to be always courageous. So now I would like to throw this discussion open to all of you. You can put in comments. We are simultaneously broadcasting on Facebook. And if you're on my public page, if you put in a comment, I will see it now. If you're on my private, individual page, personal page, I will not see it. And if you're on YouTube, you can also put in a comment. And I would love to see what you have to say. So, with no further ado, I'm going to introduce our regular panel. And the first person is Lizzie Treehart.
Hello.
Hello. And the second person has just, here we go, is Todd Benton. And third, last but not least, is James Maynard. So, how did you feel? Oh, Tracy says, I think this is an excellent topic and so spot on. I will be thinking about how I can nurture myself more so I can stay strong. Yay! Yay, team. If somebody needs to make noise, could you mute your microphone? Okay, so thank you for that comment, Tracy. That makes me feel great. We've already got one person who's gained some benefit because we need to think about things and not do it accidentally. James, could you mute your microphone when you move it and make noise
and whistle.
and whistle and do
He
all that
can't
stuff?
hear you.
Oh,
looks like.
okay. All right. Oh, and Amy says, great topic. Thanks, Beth. Thank you, Amy. Yay to our audience. Okay, who is ready to speak?
I will.
Yes, Lizzie.
Um, well, it definitely feels hopeful to. Uh, sorry, I'm trying to focus. That there are ways. I know it's going to be a long haul. I don't like the idea of that, but to know the importance of taking care of oneself. You're so right on. I mean, gosh, if you're going to run a marathon, you got to do the training, but you got to take care of yourself in the meantime. You've got to eat, you've got to stretch, you've got to do things, and
That's right.
so um, for me, getting out in nature would be great. Meditating, just going out and having fun with friends.
Yeah.
So
Hello.
Hi, James. Are you aware that you're talking and you've been making a lot of noise? And
He doesn't have
he
his
can't.
speakers on.
He
Sounds
can't
like.
hear.
oh, his speaker isn't working.
You might have to go.
Hello.
You're gonna have to go tell him.
Okay. Your
He's not looking at the chat.
No.
yours. I may just have to go into the other room. So will you continue? And as you're talking about this, Lizzie, would you also talk about which of the ones, the things that I was talking about that could block us from nurturing ourselves, like feeling not deserving, feeling guilty, don't know how, others shame you, that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, I am going to go talk to James.
So, gosh. Well, I'm not even aware of those, but I know I do have a tendency of to sabotage myself. So
I can't hear anything.
I know, and you're making noise.
Okay, sorry. I should come sit with you then.
Okay.
Because this isn't working.
Okay. All right. So
Okay.
you haven't got your speaker on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So come
Nothing.
sit with me.
Go ahead, Lizzie. Keep talking.
sorry, it's a little distracting.
I'm going to ask you to review what you just said.
Well,
And then when I get back, because I want to hear what you said. And James is having problems with his setup, so he can't hear and he doesn't know what's going on. So anyway, so he says, "Can I come in and sit next to you?" And the answer was yes.
yes.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right.
I didn't get very far, so
Okay.
it's a little distracting. So
Okay.
I'm not aware of feeling guilty or shame, but I do know I have a tendency to sabotage myself.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mentioned not deserving, feeling guilty,
not deserving.
not deserving. I mean, there are others. Don't know how, and are afraid. Either others shame you, or you're afraid that they will.
Yeah. I started a new job, and it takes a lot of time and energy to learn things. But I'm wondering, as I do my work, I ask myself, should I be doing this right now? So I am trying to do that more, but I'm wondering how much that's feeding into. I don't know if it's shame. Like I grew up on a farm, and so I.
Okay, I know what it is. If you want me to tell you. And by the way, Kenneth said hi to everyone. Hi, Kenneth. Thank you so much for saying hi to us as well as being here. I know what it is. It's your conditioning. As you were about to embark on it, you grew up on the farm. You were the youngest of 9 children, and your parents, everybody worked there, off, and you are supposed to play when you're a child. Play is part of the development of children. And some children, of course, never got to play because they were working in the tobacco factories years ago, and or who are picking cotton, and they're not, but they will still try to find some time to play. But that's in the nature. But it's like animals. Like if you look at baby bears, or if you look at other baby animals, they play. That is how they develop muscles, skills, understandings of the world. And if you felt guilty because of your natural need to play, you will automatically always carry in you, just automatically, shame, because you happen to mention that as something you don't think you had.
No, I
About,
said I wasn't aware.
yeah, okay, thank you.
That's different.
Okay, thank you for correcting me. Thank you. Yeah. So I think you do have that one, that you have shame about relaxing, shame about playing, and your fear of being shamed. Because you may have a fear also that some of your siblings may have been jealous of you having those opportunities that you didn't have, even if they were not aware of it or wouldn't admit it themselves. They probably felt that way. I would. That's kind of a natural, normal thing. So those are two things right off the bat.
I feel that.
Good, good. So now what are you going to do about it?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Well, do you want to think about that and we'll come back?
Sure.
Okay, I'm not trying to push you off. I just want you to feel like you have the space to think about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so who would like to speak next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
I can identify with both of those being deserving. I don't know why, but I think it's, like you said, part of my upbringing. Not seen as valuable, neglected. I did know my parents loved me, but they weren't looking out for me. I could say. Excuse me. The other thing is, I do feel guilty also because I have had it really good. I've had it easy. I came from a pretty well-to-do family, grew up in Malibu, and I've always just had a pretty easy life. Though I do like to work hard, but still, I don't. I see how it is other places in the world, and I've been educating myself even more about polio diseases, just diarrhea around the world. It's crazy how much we have here because of just running water and plumbing.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing how well off we are comparative to the rest of the world. So that brings forward some guilt and some shame, like why why is it so unequally distributed, the well-being and the wellness? And then you said others shame me or I think they will, for taking care of myself. Yeah, I kind of have a similar thing with Lizzie, like you should be working, you shouldn't be playing. So those are a few things, but I really like the whole idea of this conversation tonight about caring for ourselves and the need to prepare ourselves for like you said, the long haul, and not just burning ourselves out with anger, resentment, and fear. Fear is a big one with this whole thing that's going on with Iran. We don't know what the hell is going to happen. It's pretty insane if you ask me. They're not predictable. We're not predictable. I don't know. It's nerve-wracking.
Those are great points, Todd.
Yeah.
I would like to add something, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Which is, it's not just looking around the world. See, and let's say you grew up in now I don't know if this was true in your case, but let's say you grow up in a fairly comfortable family.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a cleaning lady, or there's a gardener, or there's somebody who's working for you, and you might need help, and you go to the corner and you find the day laborer.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
the amount of money and resources that certain of us have had versus others of us
yeah,
who didn't have those things, because I just noticed the omission of the difference in the earning power and standard of living of people even within our own country. So I don't disagree at all with what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I'm saying think about you and the help that you've gotten. We go in and we buy something, and the people who are working there are working for slave wages,
Wages. Yeah. No, you're
right?
right. It's here too. It's right here in our own backyard. And I was very aware of it because, I lived in one part of Los Angeles and my dad lived in another. And we drove through some not great areas, and I was always aware of the poverty and the tough, how tough it was for some people. I was very aware of that very young, just
That's
looking
right.
out the window and driving through these neighborhoods.
Yeah,
Yeah, now you're right. I mean, I didn't have those things, a house cleaner or a gardener when I was younger, but I definitely have them now. Yeah. And so
right.
the
Or the
contrast is
nanny, or
great.
the people who,
Yeah.
or the people in the schools who are assisting the teachers who are making a pittance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our whole economic system is based on a lot of different kinds of inequalities of
Yes.
people, the people who are, I remember when I worked for the phone company back in Cleveland, uh, the men were making a lot more money than the women. The women were working in the typing pools, and the women were working, I mean, just very segregated by sex at that
Mhm.
time. And the file clerks, and I was in the typing pool, and we were making nothing compared to even the workers, the male workers, not to speak of the administrators and the supervisors and all of that. So it's like it's built into the system that somebody is going to, it's part of the capitalist system of somebody is going to be getting a lot lower wages. And we know, as when you look at the international situation, what you're talking about, every piece of clothing you get that is made in Bangladesh or Vietnam or wherever it is being made by somebody who's making a pittance.
Mhm.
And so it is hard to keep going in an unconscious way. I'm not being blaming towards you at all.
Sure. No, I got you. But it's like you said, it's part of the fabric of our system. It's
That's right. And we try to ignore it,
yeah.
but it's hard to, when it's brought to our attention. I remember there was a fabulous documentary about fast fashion
Hmm.
some years ago when we had our radio program Inside Out, uh, in a revolutionary radio, that I interviewed this person. It was
Andrew
like,
Morgan.
uh, who is it?
Andrew Morgan.
Thank you, Todd. See, I have no memory.
Hmm.
And so, yes. So all of that feeds us kind of a collective guilt, and that makes us not want to look. But
Yeah.
what's happening now is that we're being forced to look at what is being done to people, even people who have more power than we do. When you look at Democratic senators and the controller of New York, because I think the controller of New York City was detained today
Hmm.
because he was a Democrat and he was trying to help somebody. It's like all of this stuff is bringing it to us, but it has always been true that there have been segments of the population that have been way more disenfranchised and oppressed. And so at least that's kind of coming to the surface. I didn't mean to get off on this topic, but what you were
Well, with
talking.
that, maybe we can bring it back to, what do we do about that so that we do nurture ourselves? Like that's
Exactly.
the idea behind this show is like, let's look at the things that get in the way of nurturing ourselves so we can nurture ourselves, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if I look at, I'm glad you said that, 'cause I was like trying to find my way back. So I love what you said. Um, when I look at the people who are struggling more than I am, or who currently are in detention centers, or have already lost their health insurance, or whatever, which will be James very shortly. um, I think if I remember that I'm in this for the long haul, it is not going. I used to believe, let me do it this a little. I used to believe that I had to be at the level of people in order to fight. I could have. gone to college because I had grades, not because we had money. We were poor, but I had grades. I was smart. I was able to get scholarships and stuff like that. But I couldn't stand what was going on. Eventually, I went and started working in factories. I started to work in, women's jobs and so on. And I felt that I really needed to do that in order to have any kind of credibility with the people that I was trying to rally. I had no more money than they did. I was in worse shape physically than most of them. So I felt very authentic. And I will tell you that there is some truth to that, that they trusted me because I was impoverished and I was in the same situations that they were. But I also know that you need to ask yourself, what do I really need in order to do this for the long haul? And if I had poor nutrition, I already have terrible health. If I don't have the right environment, I would be dead. And then I can't do anything. Dead is you can't do it when you're gone.
Mhm.
So there's a lot that we have to look at. What are the resources we really need? Now, this is assuming that doing something about the society is something that is important to you. For some people, they just want to get by or they want to make money, and this conversation will mean nothing to them. But I'm talking to the people out there who are very upset with the way that the country is going and who are now willing to look at things that they weren't willing to look at before about our economy and how it operates and what is happening to people emotionally in this society and how actually disempowered people feel and how they're reacting. So there's a moment there, and those people I know are very distressed. And one of the best things that we can do for ourselves is look at our victories. That is very nurturing. I heard different numbers for how many people were out in the No Kings protest on this Saturday, and one version of that was put together by people who had people on the ground in all these demonstrations, that there were 11 million people.
Yeah, I saw that same figure.
Now, I'm not sure that that's true, but that seems to be a pretty good, because it's hard to estimate. Some people come this moment, they leave the next.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you something else that will make us, I think, rejoice. If you haven't heard this, I heard this on Rachel Maddow. She said that after the active shooting in Minnesota, when Tim Walz said, you know, don't come to the demonstrations, protect yourselves, right? Don't come. 12,000 people amassed in St. Paul, Minnesota, when the guy was still out there,
Right.
Armed and dangerous.
armed and dangerous. And when, people were driving into protesters and mischaracterizing protesters and so on. And it's been a long time since I felt that proud to be an American. I've seen this country has done so many awful things that I have felt a lot of shame, but I was proud of ordinary people, millions of people not giving into their fears. I think it's awesome. And that is one of the things that nurtures us. So, what we need to do is look at what we need, ask ourselves how we can provide it for ourselves or get it from others, not listen to those negative voices, which are hurting us anyway. Forget about just about this political thing. They're not allowing us to really be as healthy and well as we can be. And then give ourselves what we need so that we can be here. And I've had a lot of years of that, and I'm 80 years old and I'm still here. And boy, if you had seen me 60 years ago, you'd never think that I would last past 25. So, yeah. So, Lizzie, do you, now James hasn't shared yet. So James can share, and Lizzie maybe wants to come back and say what she can do. Uh, who feels ready? You feel ready,
Yeah,
James?
yes, I do. Well, I was part of that rally on Saturday, that nationwide rally, and it wasn't the first one. But every time I've been to one of those rallies and protested, there's been such a feeling of mutual support for one another that this has given me strength. In addition to that, I just support those efforts, recognizing some people can do things that I can't do, And but I have a tendency when I read about the bad news, I tend to get polarized and angry. And so I have some things that I do to help me. I meditate, or I'll do self relaxation processes, or I'll listen to music that's soothing, or I'll go walk the dogs, go out and be in nature for a while. So those things have helped me a lot. And in fact, over the decades, I was involved with different anti-poverty programs, and I typically relied on meditation and music to help me feel nurtured along the way.
I think that a lot of people who work with the public, social works and so on, oh my God, what they see every day.
Oh yeah.
Forget about this current political situation, long term abusive situations, poverty, lack of caring. It's really something. So that's great, James. Lizzie, do you feel ready now?
Um, I'm still not sure what I can do other than just trying to overcome the shame and the guilt. I don't know how to overcome it, but it's interesting because I've actually been praying for that.
That's a great idea.
Just, asking help with that. So, do you have any ideas?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, it's nothing new. It's basically kind of what I've been saying is the theme. Ask yourself, do I want to really help?
Mm.
And if I want to help in the long haul, I have got to get over this conditioning and start looking for, and start doing the things that nurture you and welcoming those things and keep reminding yourself. I think this is one thought that just popped into my head immediately is to say, do I really want to help or do I want to run?
Mm.
And if I don't take care of myself, I will burn out and I'll have to run.
Mm.
So
Interesting.
that's something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, does anyone else have anything more? Let me ask you to please give this show a thumbs up on YouTube and a like or a love on Facebook. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification button and subscribe. Yeah, subscribe and follow my public page on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Granny Rocks On, and share this program. A lot of people need to hear this. A lot of people are like, I can see it. They're like, I feel it too. I start watching something, I start getting all revved up, I start having palpitations. I'm going to have a heart attack any minute, right? I have enough illnesses that I can, and I have to keep reminding myself, no, this is not helping. This is my ego. I want to look like a great person. I want to look like a caring person. But if I really care, I'm going to be here for the long haul. And sometimes that means going out in the street and being willing to be shot. I'm not saying that I'm not willing to do those things. I am willing to do those things at the right time, in the right moment. But that is in the context of the long haul. So please share this program and please come back every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time for Lighting the Way with Beth Green and friends. And what else do we need to say? Tomorrow night, Magical Improvs with the Kindred Spirits Band. Nurture yourself with healing music, which we will be doing, we hope. We've got a setup that worked in theory. Every time it works in theory, it messes up in reality. Come listen to music, healing, inspiring, uplifting music, 7 p.m. Pacific time. So until then, thank you. And please give us your comments after the show. I will respond to them when I see them. So I think that's it for tonight.
Bye bye for now.
Thank you for being with
Thanks for
us.
coming.
Bye bye.